Good evening, members, officers, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to those watching on the live stream. Can I draw everyone's attention to page 3 within the agenda, which sets out details regarding fire safety instructions and the webcasting arrangements. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please leave the building via the nearest exit and make your way to the assembly point located in the Market car park adjacent to the Civic Suite building. Please do not return to the building unless given permission by council staff. Item 1. Apologies for absence, substitute members and non-members of committee in attendance. Apologies received from Councillor Constable. Substitute member is Councillor Belton. Moving on then to item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of September 2025. Are the minutes agreed, members? Agreed. Thank you. Item 3, to receive declarations of interest. Councillor Steptoe.
Just to register as a member of Essex County Council.
Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm also a member of Essex County Council, Deputy Cabinet Member for Highways, and I'm also affiliate member of the RTPI, and that's the Royal Town, I'd like to write it down, Royal Town Planning Institute. Thank you.
Can I just remind members to be speaking right into the microphone, because we have had problems with that in the past.
Would you like me to do that again?
I think we've picked it up. I think we're okay, but
Right,
if we can just remember that in future, that's fine. Thank you. Item 4, items received from the weekly list. There are no items referred from the weekly list. Moving on to item 5, 25/00463/full Swallow Aquatics, London Road, Rayleigh, Essex. John Harrison will present the report. Over to you, John.
Thank you. Firstly, there's a minor change to one of the conditions. Your attentions are drawn to the need for the revision to condition 24 to refer to the requirement for this new bus stop to be on the westbound carriageway of London Road, positioned to the west of the new site access, as opposed to the east side of the access. Sorry.
For the sake of those listening online, question has been asked on what page?
It's condition 24 on page 29. Condition 24 on page 29. Okay. Right. This site is presently occupied by Swallow Aquatics on the south side of London Road, close to the Carpenter's Arms roundabout. This is a location plan. The site is of the right of that group of properties. Kate is just outlining it. And there are various other commercial and similar businesses, a cafe, a garden centre, a car wash, a car sales area to the west of that. Next slide, please. This is an aerial photograph from Google, which shows the location slightly clearer in terms of distance from the Carpenter's Arms roundabout and the edge of Rayleigh. It's a distance of about 400 metres from the edge to the east. Next slide, please. That's a view of the site. It's basically buildings on the left, car park on the right. You can just see the tops of the buildings beneath the pylons, which Kate is just pointing to. Next slide, please. This is probably the most important view of the site in terms of impact on the green belt, etc., viewed as you're approaching it, travelling westward along London Road. That shows the existing buildings. Next slide, please. This is the proposal. To put it perhaps slightly too simply, it's basically a supermarket and a car park. The car park wrapped around the supermarket in a sort of view, but there are other things like cycle parking, landscaping, a plant slab, but basically there's those two main elements. Next slide, please. Those are the proposed elevations of the building. In design terms, it's fairly simple. It's the Essex Place Services would have liked to have seen a more interesting building, perhaps emulating an old barn or something, but it's basically a simple design. We think it's satisfactory. Next slide, please. Now, one of the most important elements of this proposal is highway alterations, which are shown on the plan. The final layout may change slightly from this as they work out the scheme in detail. The London Road will be widened outside the site, and also the pavement on the north side will be widened to 2 metres so that it can be used better by pedestrians up to the pylons near to the entrance to Wolseley Park. There would be a puff-in, a crossing, a light-controlled crossing to help people approaching the site because there's no footway on the south side of London Road here. There would be a ghost right turn for traffic heading from the Carpenter's roundabout so that they can queue to get into the site whilst they're waiting for cars coming towards the Carpenter's arms layout roundabout. Also, there's a proposal for a bus stop outside the site, and as a result of discussions which have taken place today, it's going to be on the west side of the entrance. It was originally going to be east. That's why we need to change the wording for condition 24. You've got a long report. I don't want to go through all that, and I'm sure you don't want me to, but I'd just say 2 main considerations we've got are the green belt. We think it's appropriate in terms of being previously developed land, as explained in the report. The various volumes and heights and things are given in that report. Although the site is grey belt, we don't think it qualifies under that because we don't think we can clearly say that there is a need for retail space here. And similarly, we don't think it's justified by very special circumstances. The other issue is accessibility. It's not an ideal place to have a supermarket outside the town, particularly with only pedestrian access on one side and the pavement being relatively narrow. But as I've explained, it's going to be widened outside the site. We've done the best in negotiations to improve access to it, to make it more sustainable. The puffin crossing will encourage people to come from Wolseley Park or coming by bus, coming from the west. It'd be easier for them to cross the road than if we'd had, as originally proposed, just a traffic island. also will be the part of the Section 106 agreement is a payment to allow evening buses, because there's only two mainly daytime bus services on the road at the moment. So we are making it more sustainable, as much as is possible. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we have one public speaker for this item. That is Mr. Moulton, and you will speak in support of the application. You have 5 minutes. I'll give you a minute warning when you come to the end. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sean Moulton of Rapley's Property and Planning Consultants, representing the applicant Lidl. I am pleased that following close consultation with the council officers, the application has been recommended for approval this evening. As confirmed within the committee report, the application is recommended for approval on several grounds. In relation to planning policy consideration, the council officers have confirmed that the principle of development is considered acceptable by making efficient use of a previously developed site to provide increased shopping choice for the local population, whilst contribution to the local economy through the creation of up to 40 jobs. In this context, officers also confirm that the development accords with relevant policies with respect to retail and greenbelt planning matters. In respect to highways and transportation, Essex County Council is fully satisfied that the proposal is acceptable in highways and transportation terms, that it provides appropriate and safe access provision for all users, and appropriate parking and delivery provision. Additionally, to promote sustainable travel, Lidl is proposing a pedestrian crossing, as John mentioned, which is not what Essex Highways suggested, but an additional benefit that Lidl proposed in order to promote sustainable travel to the site. As John has mentioned, there will be bus improvements through bus stop relocation and bus service enhancements, which are subject to Section 278 agreements, which is with the Highways Authority, if approved tonight. With regards to the design, Lidl has worked hard with the council to bring forward a proposal which will contribute positively to the surrounding area and which will enhance the site through the delivery of a modern and attractive building. Several amendments have been made through the planning process, as we've been working collaboratively with Essex County Council Place Services and with John and the Rochford Council team. We have added red brick, which matches the emerging residential development nearby. We have added high-level glazing fronting the car park within the site. And we have got glazing along London Road to promote an active frontage with a net increase in 21 trees located throughout the site. 3 are in the car park and the remainder around the boundaries of the site, with a significant increase in biodiversity net gain as noted in the addendum note issued before today. In relation to surrounding amenity, no objection has been raised by the Environmental Health Department, and Office considered that no significant harm will be caused to surrounding amenity through loss of privacy or light or outlook or noise generated from deliveries or customers or general store operation. It has been confirmed that the impacts on air quality as well will be fully acceptable. When weighing up any application, it's obviously a planning balance, and this scheme provides clear and tangible benefits which should be noted. The development represents a significant increase by Lidl, which will undoubtedly boost the local economy and will result in the creation of 40 new jobs following the store's opening, as well as employment opportunities at the construction stage, which carries particular importance at this present time. The proposal will result in this brownfield site being redeveloped and allowing it to provide a positive and active contribution to the area. The Lidl development will result in clear improvements to visual appearance of the surrounding area, through the delivery of an attractive and modern facility of high quality design and landscaping, which is acceptable in Greenbelt terms, and the location of the proposed store provides a real opportunity for customers to visit the site via active modes of transport and public transport, including agreements to widen the footpath and enhance bus services along London Road. Therefore,
It left.
Therefore, the proposed development fully accords with the key aims of national planning guidance, which promotes a presumption in favour of sustainable development and encourage bodies involved in granting planning permission to prioritise both growth and jobs. As such, on the basis of both the scheme's clear policy compliance and the officer recommendation within the committee report, we kindly request that members determine the application in accordance with the recommendation for approval. If you require any clarity with any of the plans you saw today, please just ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moulton. If you'd like to return to your seat. Okay, over to the committee. It's ward members first. We have 2 ward members, councillors Cripps and Stanley. Would either of you like to speak first? Or, you can speak later if you prefer. Yes? Okay. Open it up now then for debate. Okay, we're going... coming at me thick and sharp here. Councillor Shaw first, I believe. Okay, Councillor Cripps, let's have you first. Can I just ask, are you speaking as ward councillor or as committee member?
Ward councillor, yes.
Okay, in that case you can't come back later. That's the only thing. And you can't vote.
Don't speak as ward
Do
councillor.
you want to change your mind there and speak as
I will.
a committee member?
I will take your advice then, because I may have to come back.
Okay, you're speaking as a committee member now then, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you for correcting.
Sorry, procedure and all that.
Okay.
Did you want to speak as a committee member?
Well, I thought that's what you was inviting me to do.
I asked, sorry. All right, we'll move on.
Okay. That's not a good start, is it? Okay. On the first couple of pages, page 22, para 3, there's a definition of a construction management plan. It lays out what that plan should cover. I don't disagree with any of the items that are on there, but what I think is missing is a timeline for this project, albeit a qualified timeline, circa this or circa that. We need to understand, I think, because the footnote at the bottom of that, gives the reason in the interest of residential amenity and highway safety. So I know that the first question, because I've already been asked it by residents, is how long is this going to take? Because they relate the construction period with, shall we say, difficulties and an impact on their amenity. So I think if you've got a construction management plan without a timescale, that doesn't seem right to me. I think a timescale is needed. Now, I know planners don't like pinning things down, but I think a general indication of what this might take would be appreciated. That's my first point. Would you like to come back on that? Or?
Yeah, if I could just say on that, I don't think as a committee we have any power to ask for timescales. That's not within our remit, but we can certainly ask for advice on that outside of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, fine. Moving on. Can we get the drawing back up, please? I'm particularly interested in the top right-hand corner, i.e. the northeast side. I think it's 08 is the document drawing number 08, I think. Yeah, that's the one. can we go to the bottom, this way round, can we go to the bottom right-hand corner, please? And blow it up a little bit. Thank you. Okay, what I noticed there is we've got the signalised crossing, which is good. Well done to the officers for negotiating that, and thanks to Lidl for listening to that. But what struck me was the path goes towards the west, and then curves round left, and that tactile floor there is for where people should be crossing further up London Road via the island and via the far side in order to get to the pedestrian crossings across the car park and into the building. Coming back to where it turns left off of the pavement in there, it seems to end in mid-air with the greenery there. And that just, to me, screams people going there and going across the inlet and the outlet to get to a shortcut to the building, rather than walking across the incoming lane and across the outgoing lane and then moving in on the pavement section and crossings inside. It just looks like an open invitation to step off into the road and cross the two of them diagonally in order to get to the... When the gentleman who just spoke, he talked about glass panels at the front in London Road and so on. Is that an empty space there that people can actually get into there, or is that red line, which is the boundary, is that a fence or whatever? I wouldn't have thought so. It goes across the roads, but it's gone very quiet. People don't understand what I'm talking about. You come along the pavement, you swerve left, and you're supposed to go straight across the inlet and the outlet. But the curve carries on into the little square just inboard of it. And that just seems to me people go there and walk across the roads just for the sake of a half wall or something there with a sign saying pedestrians and point them the right way. So that's my other point, really. It just seems to be encouraging people to walk across the inlet and the outlet.
Could I give my understanding of what you're saying? Because then you can add or detract from it if I'm wrong. Where the footpath goes into the car park there, it comes to a dead end with the greenery.
Yeah.
You'd like to see...
Well, if people do that left,
Yeah.
and it's open,
Yes.
they're going to walk across there diagonally.
Are you looking then to get rid of that hard stop on the green?
Yeah, I just felt that something. I mean, you may need, maybe it's there to give a number of people a chance to stand there while they're waiting to cross. Maybe that's what it's there for. I don't know. But either way, it seems a little bit inviting people to do the opposite to what we want them to do.
John, do you want to come back on that?
Thank you. Yes, I've been exchanging emails with Councillor Cripps the last day or two. Yes, there is a risk that people, the official route is to cross the entrance and then Kate is going, and then there's sort of marked pedestrian crossings taking you up to the store entrance. Obviously, there is a risk that people might decide to take a shortcut across the car park, but a supermarket car park is effectively a shared surface where you've got lots of cars moving and pedestrians moving. Basically, they have to look out for each other. And also say that people in the using the electric charging spaces or the adjacent spaces will need to cross the car park to get to the store entrance, which is adjacent to the bicycle parking. It's the nature of the layout. It would, you can't really stop people doing it, but at least if they're doing it, most cars will be going forwards. The more dangerous manoeuvres inevitably are the reversing ones, not the when they're going forwards, because people have clear vision.
I get the free range car park is a different set of rules, perhaps to the strictness of the roads and pavements and so on. And if people take the chance, then the responsibility is with them. But if I understand it correctly, outside of the plot is an Essex County Council Highways responsibility. But within the plot, the parking aspect of it is an LPA responsibility. And I just saw that as, given all the effort that's gone into maximising the safe entry and so on, are we missing a point here by the fact that we're leaving a hole there? And if there was an incident, for example, and the HSE came in and had a look at that feature, you know, they might comment on that as being. So all I was saying was, if that wasn't walk-throughable, you know, a short half wall with a sign telling them where they should be going, I think we're then covered. Even though the inside of the carport seems to be a bit of a free-for-all type of approach. So I've raised the point, and I believe it would encourage people to come and go across the inlet and the outlet of the site. That's particularly worrying, given the other places on the site are slower, smaller places than that. But I'm not an expert on safety, but that's what struck me when I saw it. And for the sake of a little half wall and a sign, we would probably cover that one.
Would it be a suggestion that you would think would deal with your query if that square was actually put to planting?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would act in the same way.
Okay, maybe that can be considered.
You wouldn't then have the, I can't think of the right phrase, sort of take-off point to cross the road. You need an area where pedestrians will wait if the cars are going, and if you've put landscaping there, there's nowhere, they've got to stand in the carriageway.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if looking at the drawing, it looked like the crossing point for the pedestrian was actually at the entrance. I don't know if we can put that drawing up quickly again, sorry. Yeah, what we're looking at there is maybe low-level planting, has been suggested to me by Councillor Steptoe here. That see, what I'm looking at, I'm seeing like a hatched area, which I take it that's a tactile surface there, which would indicate that is where, if people were going along the footpath to go past the actual store, that is the area they would use to cross. Am I wrong? So the reason being why I say that is then I don't see the point of that square there. A bit of low-level planting might do it. I think we're labouring this one, so I think we've probably given enough to be thinking about on that one. So I think I'd like to move on. Councillor Cripps, you got anything more you wanted to add?
No, that's okay.
Thank you. Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman. On page 56, 3.7, the last paragraph, it says, this is from Essex County Council, Urban Design. We would encourage the further development of a landscape-led boundary treatment to be considered for the eastern and southern edges of the site. Now, I've seen the plans, I've read this, and I haven't seen that it's been adopted. John, is this the case, even though it's been recommended?
Can you speak into the microphone, please? We're struggling to hear you.
I can't get any closer. If I don't get any closer, I'm going to fall off. Sorry. Right.
On your knees, Councillor Shaw.
Oh, not tonight. Page 56, 3.7. Okay. At the bottom, page 56. 56. Okay, Councillor Steptoe. It says we would encourage the further development of a landscape-led boundary treatment to be considered for the eastern and southern edges of the site. This is from Essex County Council. So I'm just wondering if this has actually been adopted or thought of or thrown out. Thank you.
Since that comment was made, we have had negotiated some additional tree planting. There's a balance, ideally in greenbelt terms. We'd like the whole site, well, totally screened, but obviously if you've got a supermarket, it'll want people to see it, and there will be planting, and they have provided some extra trees along that eastern boundary to provide more screening, but to have total screening would be impractical.
Certainly.
Right, so you're actually ignoring the Essex County Council urban design when they give actually it's a statutory information. Surely we should actually try and work with them, with Essex and the developers, even if it is. We're not talking big trees. We don't need it. Perhaps it could be bushes or whatever. But they've actually said we want to encourage. I mean, we don't need big trees everywhere, because nesting birds can use the small ones and wildlife. So I'm just very concerned that this is being ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you. I'd like to say this is a very, very comprehensive report, very well put out. But I believe the area of the London Road where this is currently sited is a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. And I think that there will be a lot more traffic and footfall associated with the Lidl than there would be with the Swallows Aquatics. So has consideration been given to an approach to Essex highways to make this a 30-mile-an-hour zone?
John?
My understanding is they are happy at the moment for it to remain a 40-mile-an-hour one, and given that the road is fairly open without many properties alongside, that seemed to me to be a logical view to take.
So could I come back on that?
Certainly.
Are you suggesting that it will remain a 40-mile-per-hour zone? I have driven along there and suddenly realised that I needed to turn into Swallows, and a car nearly went into me, and I was going at 40 miles an hour. I think that it's a danger to have a 40-mile-an-hour zone around this area.
Essex advise they consider it satisfactory, and they set the speed limits. We're not in a position to suggest it be reduced to 30 mile an hour as a district council, I'm afraid.
Okay. I think as we've had statutory consultee response on that, we have to take them on that. The one thing that I would say, the mitigation that's actually been put in place, where we've got a ghost lane in the middle, and I believe Councillor Steptoe is going to bring up something else as well. I think that there is due consideration that's been given to it. Obviously, we do have to take what Essex Highways do has to say on it. Okay. Councillor Squires-Coleman.
I just got a couple of questions. Sorry, I'll bring this down. I might have misheard, but in the opening statement, did you say that you could just about justify the development? Because in the bump I've got here, it said it would address a future need for additional convenience. Now, do we need it or don't we need it? That's my first question. And the second one is, if I've read it correctly, as the shoppers come out the exit, they need to turn left down to the roundabout, the main roundabout. Is that correct? My question, sorry, I'll sorry to say. What stops them from turning right?
Dealing with the second question first, no, they will be able to turn right out of the car park, and obviously the traffic lights will help to a degree there because it will stop traffic coming from the east. Regarding the first question, it is quite difficult to define need for a development. What I was saying in the introduction was we don't think there's an established need which would justify development on Grey Belt. The test is quite strong. Sort of situation where I would say would be such a need if you had a village with no shop and the proposal was made for a shop, there would, provided it was a village of reasonable size, there would be a clear need for a shop. The retail pros and cons of this scheme are quite complicated. The proposal has the advantage that it will hopefully reduce people going out of the district, leakage to going to other places to do their shopping, which will help the district's economy and also reduce car travel. In terms of overall retail policy, as explained in the report, we think this is justified.
Yep.
So, sorry, are you saying that this will be better for the environment because people won't be able to be travelling further?
That's quite a difficult question. I mean, there are lots of, yes, it's quite a big application, quite a complicated one, and there are lots of pros and cons. We've set them out in the report. Our overall recommendation is to approve the application. We think the pros outbalance the cons.
Okay. Councillor Steptoe.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Several bits I'd like to pick up. But first of all, could we have the drawing of where the road is and the markings on the road, please? Okay, if we could zoom in just a little bit. Okay, I'm pleased to see that, you know, we had a pre-meeting yesterday with regard to this, and we did raise the issue about the bus stop potentially was going to be roughly where the cursor arrow is at the moment, and that's now going to be moved to the other side of the entrance. I still have a concern because the opposite bus stop, and if I'm looking and reading the drawing there, in the top left-hand corner of the screen, that looks like there's a little lay-by there. Can they just confirm whether that is the other bus stop, that one there? Okay. My concern is that if somebody gets off of the bus at that point, they've got to walk right past the entrance to the new Puffing crossing and then come back on themselves to get into the entrance. I can see people trying to cross the main road there, rather than walk all the way down. So I would like to perhaps suggest that when we go back to highways, that they have another look at that to see if they can take that into account to make sure that that is made a little safer, if at all possible. The other issue I had, and another councillor picked up on it a few minutes ago, was coming out of the entrance, and if you're turning right and going east on the drawing there, potentially you're going to be turning into 3 lanes of traffic. The traffic coming from the east going west, the ghosted right-hand turn lane, and then the traffic going from west to east. If the crossing is, on red, then potentially there's going to be 3 lots of traffic sitting there. It does concern me, and I personally would have thought that highways would have looked at and said, well, to swing it round, go round and round about and come back on yourself. we're talking of a very, very short distance there. So again, perhaps I think we ought to say to highways that perhaps they ought to reconsider that and perhaps have a closer look at that, if at all possible. No right turn coming out of the site. I think that would be far safer, because if somebody coming out of that site, they've got to cross the ghosted right-hand turn lane to get into the traffic, and then of course then they've got to look at the crossing, and if the lights have all changed there, it's going to be quite a complicated manoeuvre going forward, particularly if it's a dark, rainy, windy night. So I do have something of a concern of that. The other thing was that I've been trying to find out during the course of the day what the difference between a puffin crossing and a pelican crossing is. We're not absolutely sure. There seems to be several differences there, but I think that if I'm right in thinking, if my thinking is right, it is just a modern pelican crossing with better sensors on it to pick up on people's movements along there. It's more pedestrian controlled than it is traffic controlled. I believe that's the right terminology. So, Chairman, if it's at all possible, we can suggest back to highways that they need to have a slightly closer look at some of the issues just around the road layout there.
John, do you need to come back on that?
The point regarding the bus stop, I don't think there's much we can do about that. Hopefully people will be sensible and not try and cross the road when there's cars coming. And I'm sure say, well, what to do that. Regarding the no right turn, Essex haven't thought that was necessary. I can't say anything more than that. A puffin crossing, yes, it's similar to a pelican one, but more advanced in terms of it can notice when people are waiting. So if somebody pushes the button and then walks away, the traffic doesn't stop. If people are taking their time to get across the crossing, the lights don't change to green till they're got across. So there are sort of new technology facilities within it which make it work more efficiently.
Thank you. When it comes to the no right turn, we do have an example of that in Southend, next to the Saxon King, where the exit of the supermarket there is no right turn. I think there is a principle that you could actually have a word with Essex Highways and cite that as an example for something that the committee here has raised as an issue. I'd appreciate that if you could do that, please. Okay, thank you. Councillor Bilton.
Thank you. Just a couple of very minor points, Chair. So to Councillor Cripp's very first point about that hatched area, when Katie showed us the picture as she was coming off, there is actually a blue coding on there, and that's a low fence, much like we've got at Asda in Rayleigh. So I think actually the design's already there, as Councillor Cripps was saying, to stop people walking straight off across the crossing, but it wasn't clear the first time the picture came up, but just as you screened off, it came up. So I think that issue is actually within the plans anyway. My question's a really simple one regarding the bus stops and the bus routes. We know the 25 and the X30 use that stretch. The X30 doesn't go all the way down, it cuts up to Wolsey Park. But do we know if the buses have actually said they're going to use the new bus stops? Because it's all well and good a bus stop going in, but if the bus service doesn't use it, because we know the X30 is an expressway, it doesn't do extra stops, and will the 25 use better bus stop or new bus stops, just because if they're there and not used, they're no use?
John, do you have an answer for that?
So,
Katie.
I did raise this question with Essex County Council Highways Authority, but the financial contribution that would be required of the developer is to help fund additional services on those bus routes. And I'm not an expert on the sort of contractual arrangements that are between Essex County Council and the bus service providers, but my understanding is that there will be requirements for those buses to stop at the new stop, if you like, and that it wouldn't make sort of financial sense for them not to, if they want to encourage people onto the buses, and if people are actively on the bus and want to stop there, that they will.
Thank you. Councillor Stanley.
Thank you, Chair. Just 3 questions, really. In the first instance, that that we was remarking that the footpath that comes from the east stops dead. Could there be a walkway in front of the electric vehicles parks? Could there be a walkway made coming across there instead of crossing over the 3 lanes that is there, and then across the zebra crossings that are put on there? Could we not have a pathway made across there and those defined going across into the store? I think that would be the most logical thing there. It's something similar what has been done over at Wickford, so I can't see any reason why that can't be done as a pathway to the store rather than crossing over live lanes, as what Councillor Cripps has mentioned. The other thing is the path on the east side, and that is the same path I'm talking about. How far does that stretch? Does it go down to the corner of, I think it's Little Wheatley's? Is that pathway going to be made or not? And my last question is, it does show that there is a pond on site for water retention, attenuation pond of some sorts. Where is that on that drawing? I couldn't see it. And knowing full well that it is a floodplain, that area is a floodplain and has always been a floodplain. Is there additional attenuation ponds for that? Thank you.
I'm not sure how practical it would be to provide a walkway down the past the electrical car points on parking spaces. The layout's been designed on that basis. I think we'd have to go back to the applicants and negotiate with them. The pathway to the west towards the nursery and so on. My understanding is some of that is not a formal right of way. Yes, you can walk up, on that side, but some of sorry. It's just grass. Well, certainly I've walked up to the Wheatley nursery.
Sorry, Chair. That side of if you look at the map, that side has got, there are several plots that are used by residents, but there is no pathway from where you're talking about as that drive in on the corner to the left of the building. There is no pathway, it's all grass.
Okay, I think if my memory serves me right, yes, there's grass on the southern side of the carriageway there, but the north side has got a footpath all the way along.
The other side, Wolseley side, has got a footpath all the way along, but the other side, coming from Little Wheatley, hasn't got a footpath, it's all grass.
Yeah, I'm just struggling to understand, because obviously if you've got...
well, what I'm saying is, people coming out of Little Wheatley's or from that estate over that side have got to cross over the road in front of, onto the island in front of the garage, then cross over again, went to the crossing, so that they can get into into Lidl's. It seems, you're asking people to keep crossing over when a pathway could be made to come down there.
I think it's one of those things that in an ideal world we'd like that to have a footpath all the way down there, but it's outside the remit of this particular application. It's something certainly to bear in mind.
It's just something that Highways should look at, because you're asking people to cross over, not on a crossing. It's a refuge. It's a refuge crossing, and it's not a permanent crossing, so therefore it could cause an accident. And then you're asking them to cross over again on a zebra crossing, or whatever crossing that may be, whichever's defined, to cross over again to get into Lidl's. I mean, you're creating a problem straight away.
Maybe this is something as ward councillor you can pick up on. As I say, it's outside the application, so it may be something you might be able to pick up on that as ward councillor.
My other point is, you will get a lot of electric cars will go in there, and that means they've got to walk back to the entrance, to cross over the entrance, to cross over on the crossings where ordinary cars are parked, whereas you need a footpath at the back of the electric vehicle stage. You need a footpath to go down there and then a crossing into the unit. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, you've got that with ordinary vehicles, but with electric vehicles, you've got no pathway for them. So when they get out their electric vehicles, they get run down. I mean, that's crazy. The other thing is about the water retention. Now, and I know very well that that's been a floodplain for God knows how long. Even the farmer, when he sows his field, he has to wait for that to dry out to sow the field. And so that is a floodplain. And as that's going to be a concrete or a tarmac or whatever you like to call it, how much water is going to be retained to stop it coming onto the main road? That was all I was asking.
Can you answer those, please, John?
Going back to the footpath heading to the west, the reason for the new bus stop is because there isn't an official route to the existing route, bus stop along that side. The scheme does involve a sludge drainage scheme involving attenuation, and that's covered in the conditions.
But it's not quite what I asked. I noticed that it does say the retenuation of water will be contained and whatever, but it does show a pond on the drawing, and yet the second drawing that I saw didn't show the pond. So could you evaluate that, please?
Okay, can I suggest then that what you're asking for is where the actual attenuation storage that is mentioned in the report, where that is actually going to be. I think that's what you're looking for, yes? Katie.
So I can show plans if necessary, but there won't be a pond, like a surface feature within the site. There will be underground storage within and underneath some of the parking areas within the site.
Okay. Councillor Mrs Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. A few of the points that I wish to raise has already been raised. However, I'm going to come back for different reasons. Councillor Sharp mentioned the 40 mile per hour speed limit, and I agree with all of his comments. There was recently police doing speed checks along there and caught quite a few people doing in excess of 40 miles an hour. I have myself on many occasions had to slam on the brakes because people have been turning right out of Swallows nurseries because 40 miles an hour is just too fast for that road. So if there is any way possible for Highways to have another look at that, I think that would be great for pedestrians as well as motorists. The turn right exit, Katie, I don't need you to get the map up. The turn right exit, I just feel is just really dangerous. Carpenter's Arms is, as already been said, 400 metres away from the actual site. That is so much safer. London Road is a really heavily used road. at rush hour times, it's actually quicker to walk than it is to drive. This application will just put more traffic on the London Road. There's no getting away from that, and that is sadly how life is these days. I just think turning right or being able to turn right on that exit to go towards to go on London Road towards Rayleigh is just not safe. Just not safe. London Road is not a wide road, and putting a third lane in the middle, if you like, I just don't think will add to the safety. Not at all. So that's my comment regarding that. If there is any way it can go back to highways, even though on page 47, 2.61, they have no objection from someone who lives locally. Yes, I do, as does all the residents who have written in. My second point is a question, actually. The bus stop has been moved. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But is there going to be a pull-in for the bus? Because the opposite side of the road has got a lay-by, which is needed for the bus to stop off. So will that be exactly the same for the buses heading towards Carpenter's Arms?
No. Nowadays, the Essex Highway Authority prefer not to have lay-bys, so it will be directly on the road. There'll be no lay-by.
Can I just add into that, because it was a question that I raised at our briefing yesterday. The explanation that was given to me does kind of make sense. In that if we've got a lay-by there, which to the layman you think is an obvious solution, that's fine until the bus wants to pull out. And so the thinking that Essex Highways are having, from what I'm led to believe, is that they keep the bus in the lane so as then it doesn't cause a problem coming into the traffic. That's their thinking. So, and on the other points that you've raised, I think it's becoming quite obvious that there are specific concerns that need to go back to Essex Highways. So I just hope that officers can take that on board and see where it goes from there. John, do you need to come back on? Oh, sorry. Councillor Mrs Wilson.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to come back. The bus stop pulling, that's really interesting that it's important to keep the bus on the road. How about the importance of keeping the traffic moving? Because if the bus stop facing Carpenter's Arms indeed stops, and then you've got people trying to exit the car park, as well as possibly turning right as well, I can't get my head around that.
If I can just say on that, I think we're just in a situation where we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't.
Quite possibly. My final point is, and I don't know if this is possible, Chair, so I will ask the planning officers through you if I may. Due to the heavy congestion on the London Road, is it possible at all to ask for the supermarket lorries to deliver to site and take off site outside peak times, please? Thank you.
John?
In theory, you could request that, but if they get held up on the M25 or whatever, it's not really practical, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure they will, just in their own interest, try and arrange deliveries where they cause least hold-ups, because they want the lorries on the road as short time as possible.
I wonder if we could put an informative, that's a valid point. I wonder if we could just put an informative in our response to that effect on delivery times, just that there is a request that they try to aim for deliveries outside of...
There's no harm in asking.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Squires-Coleman.
Thank you, Chair. My question has been answered.
Okay, thank you. That was nice and easy. Councillor Shaw. Councillor Mrs Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman, for letting me come back. Regarding the what Councillor Steptoe said about the bus stop being too far, a number of years ago, we had a new development in the London Road, and we wanted a bus stop there, and it was told it wasn't practical. So I would think the same conditions, and I'm talking about 3 or maybe 5 years ago, so that could be the reason why it's got to be where it is. Okay, and I will do a declaration of interest because I'm responsible for buses. So, but I'm not going for this application, Chair. I'm just saying what happened a number of years ago when we did have a development committee. They wanted to put the bus stop nearer, I say where Swallows perhaps is, and they said no because it was. I can't remember why, but it was refused. So that might be the reason. Perhaps Katie may be able to find the records somewhere to answer the question properly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for confessing to be the person we complain to about buses. Councillor Linden.
Chairman,
Sorry.
being on highways, I'm the lead representative now to be complained to for everything. Thank you.
You're very thick-skinned. Councillor Linden.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I applaud all these wonderful questions regarding the safety of the shoppers going along to the potential new Lidl. My question is slightly different in respect to that. Obviously, our questions are about the safety of the shoppers going there. Have we done any calculations in respect of, and bearing in mind, Lidl have numerous stores around the country of a similar size and a similar locations. Have we got any indication on exactly how many average people will be attending on a daily basis to these stores so that we can actually establish what the impact is going to be on the footfall and on the roads? And a second question, if I may ask, would you like to answer that one first?
No, certainly. Ask away.
Page 61, 3.25. Concern with regard to impact, as more could be done to consider the impact of comparison retail on nearby Rayleigh Town Centre, where there are direct competitors to Lidl's regular or semi-regular seasonal non-food lines. Secondly, no consideration is given to the potential impact on local neighbourhood shopping parades in the immediate area. If you carry on reading, going through that article, there's an awful lot of talk about other areas, including Basildon, Pitsea, and even up in Manchester, Rusholme in Manchester, which is a place I know well. But can more consideration be given to the local shops, particularly the independent local shops within the area, and what impact is this going to have? I do understand we have Sainsbury's, I do understand we have Aldi, but another relatively big store within the area, what impact is it going to have? Plus, it was obviously free parking, and we haven't got free parking in Rayleigh Town, apart from every now and again. But I'm sure we're working on that. But can we not do a more of a in-depth study onto that? Thank you.
If I could put a little bit of meat on the bone of your first question, we did ask yesterday about the parking spaces. There's 109. It's how many short? 7, is it? 7 short. So I think, generally speaking, when it's peak time, you could reckon on everyone taking about an hour, something like that. So you're going to get over 100 vehicles going in and out there and out. I would guess at that. Maybe officers could confirm.
The application has been accompanied by a traffic assessment, which Essex have looked at in a lot of detail, obviously, and they're satisfied, as I've explained. Yes, regarding the impact on the small local shops, the conclusion of the retail report was they're generally in a different league. They're what's called top-up shopping. When you go out for a pint of milk or a loaf of bread, or small purchases because you're running out of things. Whereas Lidl will be mainly your main weekly or whatever shop where you fill up a trolley and replenish your whole larder. So they're generally in a different league, so the impact will be limited.
You'll come back.
Sorry, have you just referred to Rayleigh High Street as a top-up shopping area?
No, sorry, I'm talking about the shops between Rayleigh Town Centre and the little site, the ones on this side of Rayleigh. I wasn't including the town centre. No, that's rather different.
Thank you. It does actually specify in here Rayleigh Town that I was referring to, and the impact that it is actually going to have on certain shops within Rayleigh Town. And you're saying the report actually says that it hasn't gone far enough, and more work could actually be done on the effect that it could have.
I think the sad factor that this kind of application is that it's a commercial venture, and commerce drives it. The effect on other shops, we as a committee don't have any say on that. So although I share your concerns, I'm not sure that it's something that we can highlight to our constituents, but I think that's as far as we can go.
As a ward councillor for Wheatley Ward, which the town centre obviously covers, obviously it is my concern and my residents as well as the shops concerned, the impact that this actually is going to have. It's just because of the wording actually in the report where it basically said it hasn't gone far enough, or it could go further. That's what I'm questioning. Can we not actually look at that further? I understand all of the traffic logistics side of it, and I totally agree with what's been brought up tonight, but obviously on the commercial sense of it, that is going to have a massive impact as well. That's all I'm asking.
Councillor Steptoe.
Thank you, Chairman. I remember the same arguments when Asda's came forward in the Roreth Lane. There was a lot of discussions around that. Speaking personally, I'm never one to like out-of-town shopping centres. I think you're right, it does have an effect on the high street. The biggest problem, particularly in Rayleigh, will be where would you put a supermarket such as Lidl's without having to pull down existing buildings and creating the area in a conservation area. So it's such a difficult thing to reconcile between the 2 points. Yes, ideally, you would want to put it right bang smack in the middle of the high street, so everybody comes to High Street. But where would you put it? And that was the arguments that came forward when Asda's first came forward. And I don't think it's had too much of effect on, Asda's had too much effect on the High Street, because the High Street in Rayleigh is particularly quite vibrant at the moment.
I think the best we can do on that is probably to note your concerns, and we do share your concerns, but I think it's outside the remit of the committee, although I do take what you said about what's in the report. Councillor Sharp.
I was just coming back in relation to Councillor Stanley's point on this pond. If I'm right, I think this is an artificial pond with a lot of large carp in it, created by swallows. So I'm sure that they will be clearing it as part of the demolition. So I don't think this is an issue in relation to the disposal of water.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Bilton.
Thank you. My final point was just following on from Councillor Linden, and I've shared those concerns and had a look at the potential impact. But points 3.22 and 3.33, 3.22 and 3.23 gave me some reassurance, because whilst it says we may over-exceed demand up until 2033, we will actually need that demand between 2033 and 2034, albeit this new supermarket will largely deliver all of the retail space we need in that area for that time. So if another supermarket comes forward in the future, I would expect a different report, because we will be exceeding our expectations. Given 2033 is not that far away by the time if this gets approved, demolished, built, employment started and everything else, I don't think we'll be that far away from the point that we actually need it based on our own population and our own demands. So I was relatively satisfied that it shouldn't have too much of an impact on those local amenities, and we will also continue to really encourage people to shop local and shop independent, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Stanley.
Thank you, Chair. Just a note that it's the planning seems to be okay. With the inference that we're going to have at least 1,500 homes, I do believe that will be very, very busy, like the one at Pitsea is very, very busy at times. Is there, I don't know, what I'm trying to find out, is there going to be any more development on that site, or is that it sort of thing? Is there going to be any more development in the site next door to that, or is that going to add to the parking or something like that? It's just that it doesn't seem an awful lot when you say 100 cars and you've got 1,500 homes that are trying to get into this area. That it doesn't equate very well, does it?
I think, to be honest, that's something outside of what we can discuss tonight, because obviously we don't know at this stage. So I think that's the moment. I note your concerns, but it's not something that we really have anything to say about tonight. Okay.
Chair, can I put a motion forward that we actually go for the recommendations, please? I do apologise.
We have run out of speakers, so we will go to the recommendation. Okay. It's proposed. Sorry. Oh, Councillor Wilson.
Really, thank you, Chair, for letting me come back in again. I just want to say, before we go to recommendations, that actually I have no objection to this application whatsoever, except for the road and the bus stop and the other things that have been mentioned here. So is there some way that we can add a recommendation, and I need to take advice from the planning officers, that this goes back to highways and is looked at again?
Katie.
So, Essex County Council Highways have already looked at the proposal in detail in terms of the proposed site layout plan, but also the detailed access plan. I say detailed, it will get more detailed. So the condition that's recommended is that the access be delivered in accordance with the access plan, but there needs to be a Section 278 agreement, which is a legal agreement between the developer and the highway authority, essentially, to allow works within the highway. So the works that take place within the highway, that's including the access points into and out of the site, the signalised crossing, the new bus stop, all will have to be acceptable to the highway authority, who are best placed to make a judgment about whether all of those things within the highway will be safe and meet their requirements. And all that will happen, but they are telling us at this point that the plans that we have been given and that they've looked at are acceptable. And so that's why we've got a recommendation from them of no objection, subject to conditions.
Thank you, Katie. I certainly would be interested in knowing the response from Essex Highways based on the issues that we've actually raised tonight. If you could come back to me, maybe we can circulate it to members as just a matter of information. Okay, so moving on then. It is proposed that the committee resolves to approve planning permission subject to the applicant entering into a legal agreement under section 106 of the Act to provide the following heads of terms and subject to the conditions on pages 21 to 31 of the report and amended condition 23 on page 3 of the addendum. Number 1, financial contribution of £8,170 index linked plus VAT payable to Rochford District Council prior to approval of the biodiversity gain plan for monitoring of on-site habitat created to satisfy the mandatory biodiversity net gain condition. Number 2, financial contribution of £7,269 plus the relevant sustainable travel indexation to be paid to Essex County Council prior to first beneficial use of the development for the purposes of monitoring the employer travel plan. And number 3, financial contribution of £168,000 in index linked payable to Essex County Council prior to first beneficial use of the development towards bus service enhancements on the London Road corridor to improve frequency, accessibility and routing to and from the site to services, facilities and areas of residential development. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Shaw, thank you. Can I have a show of hands for, please? That is unanimous. Thank you, members. That concludes our business for this evening. Thank you for your attendance. Meeting ended at 20:46.